My first guest tonight is an Academy Award-winning writer, an actor you know from films such as Good Will Hunting, The Martian, and Ford vs. Ferrari. He both produces and stars in Air, which is in theaters now. Let's take a look.
I'm willing to bet my career on Michael Jordan.
Come on, man.
You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. It took balls. I mean, that's why we're all here. Don't change that now. I mean, if you look at him, if you really look at Jordan, like I did, you're gonna see exactly what I see.
Which is what?
The most competitive guy I have ever seen. He is a killer.
Please welcome to the show, Matt Damon, everybody. So happy you're here.
It's good to be here. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I really enjoyed this film. It looked like it was a lot of fun to make. Obviously, you're collaborating with people you've been working with over the years, and a really nice wardrobe for you. Just a solid 80s wardrobe.
Yeah, I got a shout out to Charlize, our costume designer. She crushed it. In fact, the guy that I play is a real guy, Sonny Vaccaro, and when Sonny came to the set to visit with his wife, she looked at what I was wearing and she turned to Charlize, our costume designer, and said, it's like you broke into his closet. Like, so that's about the highest praise you can get. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, I guess like not a lot of 80s clothes were cool, but Sonny was definitely not wearing the coolest of the era.
No.
I don't feel like anybody's gonna watch this movie. None of the teens are gonna watch this movie and go like, I wanna dress like Matt Damon in this movie.
No, like there's those things that you can get like the rider in your contract where you keep the wardrobe. Like, this wasn't one of those jobs.
Your rider was,
yeah.
I never want to see it again. A lot
Please.
of beige. I think you found out if beige was your color.
Yeah, we found out that it's definitely not my color. But actually, yeah, when I showed a rough cut of the movie to my wife, and the movie ended, and I turned it on, and I said, "What do you think?" She goes, "That movie's great. You look awful."
Very nice. At least you started with praise. I think that's a
two really true declarative statements.
Yeah. So this is based on the team of people, you know, behind the scenes who are putting together the deal for, you know, Michael Jordan to come to Nike, which changed obviously the future of basketball shoes. And I guess it was inspired, maybe the writer came up with the idea of watching The Last Dance, which I think everybody did during those early days of the pandemic.
Yeah. Alex, the writer, I think was inspired by that. And I mean, we all, you know, sat and watched The Last Dance. I think that's how we all spent the first month.
I would have watched it
pandemic.
anyway, but it certainly showed up at the right time.
I think I watched it a lot faster.
Yeah. I will say this, I don't think my wife would have watched it with me unless it was a pandemic.
My wife, my kids, yeah, exactly. My COVID bubble. We binged it together. Yeah.
In the COVID bubble, did you try to, I mean, first of all, I don't know how much your kids engage with your work. Do they like watching you?
No.
Yeah. Did you take advantage of the COVID bubble to say, you know, let's go revisit some of Dad's early work?
No, absolutely not.
No, they wouldn't stand for it?
No, I have, well, my 16-year-old likes to give me a hard time, and she is very clear about not wanting to see anything that I'm in if she thinks it might be good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so she'll watch anything she hears. Like if I get bad reviews in something, she's like, that's the one she wants to see.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is the most ice-cold 16-year-old thing I've ever heard.
There's one movie I did that's not very good, and it's called The Great Wall. And my daughter was talking to one of her friends, and she was talking about this movie. My dad did this movie, The Wall, and she kept calling it The Wall. And I was finally like, Isabella, that movie's called The Great Wall. And she was like, Dad, there is nothing great about that. Okay.
I like thinking that she knew for months, I'm gonna just keep calling it The Wall, just setting you up.
She's like, yeah, like just like this for months until I'm like, it's not called The Wall.
You get the old school boxy car phone. That was a really nice thing to see in this film. Do you remember the first time you saw someone on the car phone?
Yeah, in fact, we put this line in there, like, I'm calling you on the phone. There's a phone in the car. Like, he's really excited about it because we remembered when, you know, in the 80s when we first saw a car phone, and it was like, wow, like, that car has a phone in it. It was like the craziest idea.
I think most of those early calls were just people telling them they were calling them from a car.
You know what? Actually, Ben and I had a roommate for a summer in California in I want to say 91 maybe. And this kid, he couldn't afford a car phone, bought a plastic phone. This is a true story. Bought a plastic phone and would, at red lights, would put it up to his ear. With like a cord, going to nothing. And that was his attempt to try to like pick up women, like at stoplights, because it was such a rare thing.
I mean, it definitely seems like he didn't plan for whatever step 2 was.
No, like, can you imagine? Can I borrow your phone for a second? I gotta make a call.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm out.
You asked too many questions.
Yeah.
We had your co-star, Jason Bateman, here, and we were talking about the 80s, and Jason was admitting that he kind of crushed the 80s. Like, he had a really good decade. You were mentioning LA with Ben in the early 90s. Obviously, you know, the 90s eventually worked out pretty well for you guys, but how were the 80s and 90s for you as far as fashion, hair, just a general vibe?
We did not crush the 80s.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
We did not. We did not crush the 80s. Up to the mid-90s, we were struggling. We weren't crushing anything. Bateman was dominating. That's true. Yeah. Bateman. I can see how he loved those years. We were not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever look back? I have this, I think, very false sense of myself through the 80s, which is I don't think I wore the worst fashion, forgetting that even like a middle-tier bad choice looks awful now.
Yeah, I don't think I wore anything that looked good.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen a good picture of me in the 80s, or really, you know, until about 1996. Like, until professional people started dressing me for movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Like someone who knows what they're doing comes over with a comb and it's like, I'm about to fix everything.
Yeah. You need to put this on, and you need to ask no questions, and
I feel like every almost good picture I see of myself in that era, like one thing will ruin it. It's like, oh, hardcore pleated pants.
Right.
Just like.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm thinking back to my prom picture. There's not. I don't.
It wasn't a good era. We didn't grow up in a good era.
It was not strong. It was not. But I feel like we represented it well in the movie.
You really did. I should stress you. And it was a lot of nostalgia. Obviously, we both were Boston sports fans. MJ is someone that you could watch and have appreciation for, but at the same time, you know, I was rooting against him for most of his career. Did you see him play live?
I did, yeah. I did, because my dad had tickets through his work that we could go to one game a year, and obviously Boston in the 80s, it was Celtics-Lakers. So Lakers tickets were not offered. They were off the table. Those were for clients. Like, they were like any other game you can go to. And so my brother and I would always want to go see MJ, just to say that we saw him live, because it was, you know, I mean, he just kind of transcended the game. It was just so exciting to watch him. You know? And then, of course, like, they became kind of America's team, because the national game every week was the Bulls, and, you know, he was just kind of bigger than the game.
I mentioned we were Red Sox fans. You were very kind. This was, I think, the beginning of my second season. You hosted the season premiere of SNL.
Yeah,
you were kind enough to do something. Look we are the same. We did not age. We did not age at all.
Wow. Wow.
You know what? Do you remember in the beginning of the Captain America movie, they use digital effects to make Chris Evans look like a smaller version of himself? I feel like I'm the smaller version. That's that's before the super serum.
That's amazing.
Do you that was so that's 2002 that you hosted that. So do you remember like getting the call to be asked to do that? I mean, obviously you're pretty established in your career at that point.
Yeah, you know what was funny about that was I actually my agent, Patrick, who's been my agent for 30 years, called me up and goes, "You're hosting Saturday Night Live. You know, it's the season opener." And I was like, "Yeah, great." I was like, "But I'm not promoting anything. I don't have any." And he goes, No, of course." And he goes, "Bruce Springsteen's the musical guest." So I was like, "Oh, yeah, of course." So, like, we're big fans of Springsteen, so like I basically hosted the show so that I could go watch him do the two songs.
Not a bad play.
No, not at all. I had a great time. I loved it, but I didn't host it for another 16 years after that.
Well, man, it is just so nice to have you here. It has been far too long, and the movie's great, and it's always such a pleasure.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. Matt Damon airs in theaters now.